Hey, Raindrops. Yes, come through. We got merch. Finally, Carlos King is giving y'all merch. We got Raindrops, allegedly. Come on, allegedly mugs, allegedly t-shirts. We have it all. Make sure you go on carloskingshop.com. That's right, carloskingshop.com. Pick it up, tell a friend, phone a friend, and let's celebrate this all together. Now get into this video and make sure you like and subscribe to this channel and hit what? Yes, the notification button so you don't miss an episode. See ya. Oh, Raindrops. It is the end of an era. Where do we begin as we discuss Kandi Burruss's departure from the Real Housewives of Atlanta? Now, this is shocking news to the world. This is breaking news. This is not shocking to me because I already knew. Well, honey, I am the king of reality television, darling. So I knew about this days ago. I knew about this days ago. And when I first learned of this, I was definitely surprised. I was surprised that Kandi would leave. And I want to set the record straight. I can exclusively confirm that Kandi was indeed asked back for season 16 of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. She did not get fired, so don't believe that. You're hearing it from me. And you know, when I tell y'all stuff, it be the real deal. I'm not here to get clicks or engagement just to make up a story. When y'all hear it from Carlos King's mouth through my small esophagus, hey Sutton, I do have a small esophagus though, but that's another story. I really do. My poor African. Anyways, so when you hear it from me, know that it's the truth. Kandi was indeed asked to come back to this upcoming season 16, and she did turn it down. Kandi 100% walked away from the show. She walked away. When I learned that she walked away, I was surprised because I know how much the show means to her and the check. I mean, listen, it's a good check. I keep telling y'all, making over $2 million, allegedly, for 4 months of work, sign me up. Honey, I don't even want to be a reality star. I like producing it. I like making people famous. I like making people rich. I like making people be successful. But bitch, you paying me $2 million for 4 months of work. I don't know. I may have to talk about me, the African, the dogs, honey, my family. I don't know. That's a good coin. So I know that she loves the show and she loves the money. And who could blame her? It's a cute check. So when I learned that she was leaving, I was definitely surprised for those two reasons. But then what I said to myself is, you got to give her props. At least she knew to leave instead of being fired. And there's a lesson in all of this that I want you all to take away. You never want to stay at the party when everyone else went home. Pastor King is here to give y'all a sermon. Listen, and this applies to everybody in the world. You don't have to make $2 million for 4 months of work for this to apply to you. This applies to everybody. When you are at a place, a marriage, a job, or friendship, in this case, let's just stick to the job. If you are at a job for a long period of time, it's always best to not be the last one to leave. It's always best to be the one who is not kicked out of the party. Hey, Winter. Hey, Joy from Love and Marriage DC. Y'all get it. You always want to be the one to leave the party early. I know what that feels like. When I left Atlanta Housewives after season 9, I knew that I had more to do with my life and my career. And I knew that it was time for me to go. And I wanted to leave on a high. And season 9 is arguably top 2. Hey, season 6, number 1. Season 9 is number 2 of the best Real Housewives of Atlanta seasons. Argue with the wall. Argue with the Twitter fan pages who get it wrong, honey. Season 9 is arguably the second best season of the Real Housewives of Atlanta history. Season 6 is number 1. So I relate to that. Okay. I wanted to leave on a high. I applaud Kandi Burruss for leaving on the high that she felt it was time for her to go. Right. There has been tons of conversations, tons of speculation, tons of posts about whether or not it was time for Kandi to go. And the reason why I wanted to do this episode solo is because I didn't want people to misread my smiles, my smirks, my stares if I'm talking to another person. Carlos being shady. Carlos, when Carlos talks about certain people or when he gets certain people to talk about them, he has a smirk. So I wanted to do this episode solo because I wanted you guys to hear from me. Obviously, I was there season 2 when Kandi came on the show. And I said this story before and I say it again. You got to give Kandi her props because in 2009, when she debuted on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, she was the first housewife to have a name outside of the city of Atlanta. She obviously comes from a girl group. She obviously won a Grammy, wrote songs. She was definitely a recognizable person. So her coming on the show was a big deal to all the executives, myself included, in addition to the cast. They felt like, okay, this may give us some gravitas that, the show needed. And she came on and she made her mark. And I don't think people give Kandi her props in the sense of Kandi has definitely given us some great personal story. You can't discount the fact that when she came on the show her first season, she was then engaged to a man named AJ who has since passed away. She gave you personal story with that. We were first introduced to Mama Joyce and Aunt Bertha and the rest of her family when they were talking about whether or not Kandi should be with this person. We saw all of that personal story from her out the gate. Personal story galore. Kandi was the first person on the Real Housewives franchise to give us great family drama. We were introduced to the old LG ladies. Her first season, dealing with being engaged to somebody that they didn't think was worthy of Kandi's time. She gave us that. She's the first to give us that. And she's the first to ever produce a hit song that came from a Real Housewife. Don't Be Tardy is a hit. It's a gay, iconic song for the gays, honey, and for the world. Don't Be Tardy is legendary. She produced it. She gave all of us the first ever iconic song that came out of not only the Real Housewives universe, but also reality television, if you really think about it. And she did all that her first season. And I think people sometimes forget about that. She came on, and then she got into with Nene. I'm gonna stop talking to you right now before I be blowing up on your ass. She gave you an argument with Nene. She gave you family drama. She produced a hit song for Kim Zolciak. That's a lot to do your first season. And then when it came to the reunion, is when we all learned prior, like I want to say like a week or days prior to the taping of the reunion, her then fiance passed away. And she showed up at the reunion. Still, she gave you all of that her first season. So when we have these conversations about Kandi's relevancy on the show, I do think sometimes a lot of people miss what she brought out the gate. She's not the loudest in the room. She's not the most argumentative, but she had this ability to really give you great personal story where it allowed her to showcase that. And she was always this very interesting peacemaker because all of the girls really did respond well to her, which is why she became one of the fan favorites from the franchise. And then after that, you guys know the rest. Todd came on, Mama Joyce started being way more integral into the show. And we saw ultimately what happened between her and Phaedra. So she was definitely a staple on this show. And I think all of us are, it's a bittersweet thing to see her go. Again, there were tons of conversation about Kandi should go. She's boring. She doesn't bring anything to the show. Nene Leakes said on my podcast that Kandi is not the most exciting person to watch. She doesn't think the camera loves her. That's her opinion. There has been conversations about whether or not it was time for Kandi to go. And I'm pretty sure Kandi has definitely seen those tweets and heard those conversations. I always said that you should always leave on top. Whether or not you're a bottom or verse, you should. Positions, honey. It's all about the positions. You should always leave on top. And I really do believe in my heart of hearts that it was time for her to go. I said on my podcast the first season where all of you guys took it and ran with it and y'all made a big story out of it, child, which I was really confused as to why. But my friend and fellow podcaster Kate Casey and I did an episode about the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and we brought up Kandi, and Kate Casey felt that it was time for Kandi to go. And I remember saying, and I still stand by what I said because I don't regret anything I said. I stand on business. I said that I one day see Kandi running a network or having a network or streaming and winning, you know, a Tony, an Oscar, an Emmy. I see her do all those things. And I said that on my podcast. And then I said, I don't see her getting all of those things as long as she's on the show, because the show will always be a distraction to what her future goals are. A lot of y'all took that and said Carla's a hater, and then y'all told her I was a hater, and then she started, neither here nor there. So I started to tell my belief in terms of, I believe this show was holding her back. I believe it was time for her to leave because I know that she has other aspirations and goals. And I got red for saying that. And look what's happening now. She left because she said, and I quote, she got tired of sitting around waiting on the Real Housewives of Atlanta producers to figure out what they were going to do with the show. And because she has so much time to think, once again, Carlos King is always right. But no one wants to give me those props. Whatever. I continue. She said that because she has so much time to really sit and think about her life and what she was going through and fielding all of these offers, when they did come to her with an offer, instead of her negotiating and being like, I'll accept that, I want to accept this, she said she felt like, I don't want to do this anymore. I need a break because she has so many other things percolating in her world. The same thing I said last year that I got read for filth for, especially by the fans, that I was a hater and I want her off the show. So the same thing I said last year is happening now. One day, y'all going to respect my voice. I know my voice may not sound the way you want it to sound. No, I don't have that much bass in it. But baby, there's truth in the voice. If I don't have bass in it, that's fine. I got truth in this voice. Call me Judge King, honey. I got truth in this voice. So I said all of that to say that's how you leave. When you are a reality star, you have to know when it's time to exit. I literally had a conversation with somebody who will remain nameless because despite what y'all want to believe, I don't tell other people's business when it's private. That's why all the girls talk to me and tell me their personal business, honey, because they not keep it a secret. I just told y'all I knew about Kandi not coming back days ago. I didn't say anything because it's not my story to tell. Anyways, I was talking to a reality star recently, and I said to her, you need to leave. And I said, I feel like God is telling me it's time for you to go. I know that it's scary to do the unknown. It's scary to walk away from something that is all you know. That's why a lot of people stay at jobs they hate. That's why a lot of people stay in relationships they hate. That's why a lot of people stay in friendships they hate because they're afraid of the unknown. And as I was talking to this reality star, I promise you all, I felt like God was telling me to speak on his behalf. And I said, it's so sad that you just don't see more for your life than this show. You've been on this show for X amount of years. It's time to just go. And anytime you are ever in a situation where you're only staying for money, it's never going to end well. I promise you, it's never going to end well. That's just the law of life. Anytime you stay in a situation for financial gain and you are miserable, you're telling God, I don't trust that you have more for me financially than what I currently see. And I applaud Kandi, who has a shitload of money. I applaud her for saying, you know what? Maybe it's time I take a break. Now, she said a break. In my opinion, I think she should leave and never come back to the show because I think there's more for her to do. And I think that show is a huge distraction from the goals that she wants. And my hope for her is that the same way she left a top selling group and ultimately found her way writing music and winning a Grammy for writing No Scrubs, that's the same God who can take you and show you that there is life after the Real Housewives. And a lot of the reasons why the Real Housewives orbit of reality stars reeks of desperation is because a lot of those women don't see what their life is like without it. That's why you see them so desperately trying to do anything to stay on the show. That's why you see them just, it reeks of desperation because they don't know what life is like without the show. A lot of them see themselves, and I'm not saying I see them this way. A lot of them see themselves as middle-aged women who was given a second chance in life because you are internationally famous within 4 months of the show airing. The entire world knows you, and fame is a drug. And it's hard for them to not get their fix. It's hard for them to not be injected with the drug that pleases them. That's why a lot of them leave their husbands, leave their families, and lose sight on who they are because of the drug of fame. And as you watch Kandi go through some very challenging times, in my opinion, I felt that Kandi should have left seasons ago because I could tell by knowing her that she wasn't into it. And you will never be happy when you don't follow God's direction. Never. I appreciate people who leave my shows, who's like, I'm good. It ain't for me, Los. Love you. Love your crew. I got to go. I don't beg anyone to stay. I don't beg staff to stay. I don't beg my stars to stay. I've had stars come to me and say, I would like to leave. And I say, you should go then. You should never be in any situation that doesn't service you. You should go. You should definitely go. I think it's weird that people think there has to be some dramatic situation to leave. To leave. Just like people swear up and down, Carla, you didn't leave Atlanta Housewives. You got let go. What? But I already talked about that, so I won't be going there. Where I will go is by saying, as an executive producer of reality shows, we as executives sometimes know when it's time to have the conversation. And the conversation isn't great. Um, I never think it's surprising though, but the conversation is never great when it's time for someone to leave, especially somebody who's been on the show for so long. And in this case, Kandi's been on the show for since season 2. They're entering their 16th season, so that's 14. Kandi's been on the show for 14 years. That's a very long time. And the show has done wonders for her and her career and her personal life. She met her husband on set. So everything surrounding the show has been a huge benefit to her. So when you are an executive and you feel like it's time for someone to go, there is a conversation to be had. And I think just based on the fact that they did give her a contract, showed her that they do value her and that perhaps they wanted her to come back to give a final, hurrah to the show or to be on multiple seasons. I'm not going to get into her agreement. But they did ask her back. In what capacity? That's what she'll have to say to you guys. But at the end of the day, I think it was smart to leave. And I thought it was smart to leave with your head up high and with grace and with dignity. Because she wants to come back, I strongly believe they will invite her back. And that The door isn't closed on her. Now that she is gone, we get to now talk about who's coming back, bitch. Yeah. Okay. So look, all I'm gonna say is this as I go through my text shot because my phone has been blowing up all day with people like Carlos, have you heard the news? Are you going to the office? Blah 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 blah. Yeah. So now that Kandi is not coming back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16, I'm gonna say this, and I don't care what y'all think. Bring Phaedra back to the show. Please, please, please bring Phaedra back. Phaedra is excellent on Traders. She's excellent on Traders. Phaedra is not so excellent on Married to Medicine because she's not meant to be in that show. I said it. I said it. Be mad at me all you want to. Y'all were mad at me last year when I said Kandi should leave, and these are the reasons why she will leave. Now that she left, y'all like, well, damn, Carlos was right. Phaedra is not great on Married to Medicine because that's not her world. It's like me being on a show called Botch, and I'm not a plastic surgeon. Why would I go on a show called Botch and I don't know how to fix botch surgeries because I'm not a plastic surgeon? Why is Phaedra here? She doesn't even go to the school. Phaedra is a formidable talent. She's a great talent. Phaedra needs to get off of Married to Medicine. That show is not for you. You do not fit there. You do not belong there. You don't go to that school. You are a sore thumb. It doesn't make sense. You need to get back on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is me advocating for a great talent like Phaedra Parks, no Nida. Not no Nida, child. Phaedra needs to come back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I'm on Portia to come back with her. This show will always be my legacy, and I'm about to have a moment, a meltdown, if you will. I am so sick and tired of seeing my legacy tarnished. It's upsetting to me and my homegirls when we talk about the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I was having dinner recently with a black actress who's a friend of mine, and we were just talking about like what happened to that show, Carlos? What happened to it? And I'm just like, why are you asking me? And she's like, well, bitch, it's your show. You will always be associated with that show. Sorry. So what we gonna do? And I was like, I ain't doing nothing. So I sell all that to say that show is my legacy. And it will always be my legacy. And I want the show to win. That's the reason why when I interviewed Kenya, I told y'all for the first time that I was the one who told Kenya, go to Cynthia's party while you're pregnant because you will come back next season. I'm the one who have off the record conversations with some of the girls, not all, with some of the girls and give them advice on how to keep him pushing. Because that's how much I love the show. I'm tired of the show being not great. I want this show to win. The only thing I'm gonna say to y'all, because I'm not gonna give y'all the whole cast that I see, because honey, that cost. So raindrops, I'm giving y'all the exclusive. In order for season 16 to be great, you at least need Portia and Phaedra back. Phaedra is having the best year she's had in years. Not and it's not because of Married to Medicine. I can tell you that. Phaedra does not belong on Married to Medicine. It doesn't make sense. It was called stunt casting. It was to get the eyeballs. And That's not what's going to make that show already been great. It's the best show on Bravo to me. You don't need Phaedra to make Married to Medicine great. Married to Medicine was great before Phaedra. We call that BP before Phaedra, and it'll be great AP after Phaedra. Put Phaedra back on the show she helped make successful, which is the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She fits that show like the bodycon dresses she wears in Married to Medicine. It fits. It hugs her curves. Those bodycon dresses, honey. We want to see Apollo. I won't spill the tea that I heard about Apollo and an appearance that was made because I want to get in trouble. Well, I gonna get in trouble, but you know what I'm saying. You need Portia back. I want to see Portia's. I want to see Portia's house. I want to see Portia's Rolls Royce, her Bentley, her private plane. Simon's looking good. Sorry, Portia. No shade. Simon looks good, Portia. I'm sorry. We both have Africans. I'm just saying. Simon looks good. I want to see Simon and Portia in the bathroom when she's putting on her wig and she got the glue on the forehead and he comes in. I want to see a double date with, I'm telling y'all too much that I want to see. I might as well just. My advice costs a coin, honey. I was about to give y'all so much tea about what needs to happen. Let's just say I want to see a double date with Phaedra. Oh, I meant Portia. Let me stop. I want Portia back. Portia is missed on television. It was great seeing her Ultimate Girls Trip. I want to see Portia and her happiness. I want to see Portia on the court side seats, honey, at the Hawks game, honey. Stunting on the girls, honey. Portia is rich, honey. We, I'm tired of watching mediocrity on that show. I need to see wealth. The show is missing wealth. Y'all have some girls on the show who are declassing the show. They ain't got a coin. We don't watch the Real Housewives of Atlanta to see people attend the same restaurants that we go to. Well, I go to the Was a Housewife. I ain't in that category. We don't want to see these Real Housewives, honey, going to um, the local bars or going on domestic trips. We need to see the wealth, and Portia is wealthy. Portia doesn't fly Delta One, honey. I do though. All I got is one letter and one number. Come on, Nicki Minaj. It's a song off the Pink Friday Romans Reloaded. Get it. When I fly is one letter and one number. You whack can get hot for one summer. Okay, shout out to Nicki. Anyways, we're missing wealth. I want to see some wealthy black women in Atlanta. Portia is wealthy. Portia hangs out with this crew, honey. I'm not gonna tell you their names because I will give away who I think should be on the show. But Portia got some baddies. I want to see Portia and her wealth and her comedy, her husband, their kids, a blended family. I want to see Portia's kitchen, the bedrooms, the staff, Portia's closet. I want to see Portia on a shopping spree saying, "Thanks, Papa." Baby, Portia told you girls how to dream, honey. Honey, Portia Luther King said, "I have a dream. I have a dream, honey." Come on, Portia. Portia is the epitome of Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream, honey. She had a dream that came to fruition. We're very proud of Portia. We need Portia and Phaedra, the real freaking frack. because apparently I thought Quad and Phaedra Married to Medicine were going to be freaking Freck Part 2, but child, Phaedra left Quad at the airport and took another flight because she wanted to be seen with her. Because she said, honey, you are a sinking ship. And I can't be seen on this Titanic, honey. Let me catch this other flight, honey. I can't borrow Portia's PJ. So let me go Delta One, honey. We want to see that. So we would like to see Phaedra and Portia back on the show. We need to. And last but not least, I'm not going to say much. Let me stop. But all I'll say is, in terms of two new faces, or in this case, familiar faces, for season 16, we, the congregation of the raindrops, I'm the king of the raindrops, per Mia's man. I'm the king of the raindrops, and we would like to see Portia and Phaedra back. Now that Kandi has left the building, we need Portia and Phaedra to come back. We need frickin' frack. That's the biggest way to save my legacy. Bring them back in a hurry. That's the way to do it. So, Kandi, we wish you nothing but the best. We know that we're going to see and hear from you again. And we thank you for your amazing contributions to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. 14 seasons is nothing to sneeze at. So I want to dedicate this episode to you and to the amazing work you have given the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And we cannot wait until we see what other legendary things you embark on. Congratulations, happy birthday, and many, many more to come. And to Portia and Phaedra, please sign on the dotted line. Phaedra, I know you watch my podcast. Get off Married to Medicine. It does not suit you at all. Get back on the Real Housewives of Atlanta and save it. I'm out.